and welcome to the September edition of Hawick News with me, Hannah Thomson.
And me, Lothian. The news headlines this month.
We interviewed the temporary head teacher, Mr Clarke. We also interviewed the new heads team. We find out what the new first years think of the new high school. S2 pupils visit Stobs camp. ITV interviews Mr Ribeyron about the discovery of planets. Jack Chelley is all the latest sports news from Hawick High School.
Hello, here at Hawick High School we have a new temporary head teacher, Mr Clarke, the head teacher of Berwickshire High School.
We spoke to him recently to find out a bit more about our new head teacher.
Kira Johnson and Amy Clark were our reporters on the spot.
Have you enjoyed your first few weeks at Hawick High School?
I have, very much so. It's been a really interesting journey. Starting in a new school, albeit that I'm here temporarily. It's been a very welcoming place. You folks have been great. The staff have been great. The time that I've had with parents has been great. So first few weeks have been really positive.
What do you most enjoy about being a head teacher?
Working with folks like yourselves. People often ask me, do I miss being in the classroom? And I miss that immensely. I'm a maths teacher by background, and loved teaching, and I love working with young people. As a head teacher, you become a bit divorced from working directly with young people as much as you would like to. So it's great doing things like this because you get to do that. The biggest kind of plus I guess that I get is if I can make a difference to young people as a head teacher, and I can give you a learning and teaching experience which is improving, then I'm doing my job well, and I get a buzz out of that. I get a buzz out of making a difference, even for one individual kid. If I can help them to see a way forward from maybe something they're stuck on, then that's a great place to be.
What's your favourite book?
Ooh, favourite book. What if I was to pick one? I'd probably say Touching the Void, which is a book about a guy that Joe Simpson, who was climbing in the Ciudad Grande in Peru, and he falls and he has an accident, and he basically breaks his leg, but it's a lot worse than that. And he ends up crawling out, and it's a book about real adversity and how you overcome tremendous difficulties by just being resilient and just constantly thinking I can do more, I can save myself in that case. But those are the kind of books I enjoy, is people that are finding life quite difficult, and how can we get through this.
What inspired you to become a teacher?
Now that's an interesting journey, because when I was 18, I used to go to a youth group or help with a youth group, should I say, and the main youth group leader said to me one day, "You'll make a good teacher one day." And I laughed, because I thought that's the most ridiculous thing to ever suggest. There's no way that I will ever become a teacher. And as things panned out, I became a youth worker for 3 years, and wanted to really kind of stay with the youth work. Was full-time youth work for 3 years, but I felt it was something I couldn't really do until I was in my 50s, so I decided that I would do teacher training, just to get a qualification behind me, and I thought that would help me with my youth work anyway. But what actually happened was I then went and did my probationary year, and then I went into teaching, and I've never left it since. So maybe one day I'll go back to youth work, but I haven't got there yet.
S1 pupils visited Bowhill last week, learning teamwork, orienteering and survival skills.
The trip was part of a series of house events that will be happening throughout the year.
Between the 20th and 22nd of September, S1 went to Bowhill to learn about teamwork. Once the S1s arrived, they were split into teams of 6 to 7 and did team building activities such as Cross the Swamp, Charlotte's Web and orienteering. After lunch, they completed a survival exercise where they had to build an emergency shelter and rescue a mysterious teammate from a secret location in the forest.
This year's head team has been elected and we were delighted to meet the new office bearers.
Lucy and Ethan interviewed Ailey, Ewan and Mark from the head team to find out what they think of their new responsibilities.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Lucy.
And today we're going to be interviewing the head team. How are you enjoying your time as the head team of Hawick High School?
We haven't been in the job too long, but so far it's been fun. There's been a few difficult decisions so far, but I think we've proven that we can work well as a team, I think.
Yeah, I'll agree with Haley on that one. It's been really enjoyable so far.
What do you anticipate will be the greatest challenges you'll have to overcome as the head team?
I think the greatest challenge for me is going to be public speaking, because it's not something I've got a lot of experience doing. I think that'll be quite tough.
Yeah, I think another challenge that us as a group will face is keeping the year group as a whole happy, because it can be quite difficult when there's different opinions.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
How do you plan to overcome these challenges?
I think teamwork is going to be absolutely key when it comes to it, definitely. Us working as a team and keeping everyone's opinions.
And for the public speaking one, we'll get a lot of practice through the year.
How often does the head team meet and what occurs when you do?
We meet every week on a Friday morning, so during the extended reg period, and we talk about what we need to talk about that week, and that can change. And we also talk about what we talked about previous week to make sure we did everything we need to do.
Is it true that you have cake?
Yeah, we have to bake them though.
Every week.
Yeah, every week.
How do you plan to stand out amongst your predecessors?
Honestly, I'm hoping we don't stand out too much, because I think they've done quite a good job. So if we can be kind of similar to them, that would be good.
What first interested you in becoming part of the head team?
Well, I obviously can't speak for Ailey and Ewan here, but really growing up I always thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to be part of the head team, wouldn't it? You know, but we're all voted in this position, so we're all really lucky to be here, to be honest.
Thank you for your time and coming to speak to us.
No problem, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for interviewing us, guys.
Thank you.
The new first years have settled in at Hawick High School, so we thought we would find out a bit more about their experience at the big school.
We interviewed a wide selection of the year to find out how they are doing.
How have you enjoyed your time at the high school so far?
I've enjoyed it a lot because you get to walk around the school to your different classes.
I've liked it. It's been very good because you've had like longer classes and everything. What is better, Hawick High School or primary school?
Hawick High School.
Why?
Because there's more opportunities and there's more things to do.
What is the best house?
Turnbull, because I've got great pastoral teachers that you can talk to, and there's loads of good friends in Turnbull.
Are you enjoying Hawick High School?
Yeah.
And why?
Because it's a change from primary school. You need to walk about the school and it's a lot better.
What is the best, Hawick High School or primary school?
Hawick High School.
And why?
Because the food's good.
Are you in any new clubs?
Yeah, hockey and football.
What is your favourite subject?
Science. Because you get to do experiments.
Are you enjoying Hawick High School?
Aye, it's good.
And why?
Just it's a change for primary school.
What is better, high school or primary school?
High school.
And why?
Just, sitting in a class all day.
What is your favourite subject?
Techie and art.
And why?
Because it's you can be creative with what you're drawing and making.
What is the best house?
Turnbull.
And why?
Because I'm in it and there's a lot of nice people in it.
Are you enjoying Hawick High School?
Yeah.
And why?
It's good going to different classes.
What is your favourite subject?
Right now,
It's probably science and techie.
Are you in any new clubs?
Yeah, I go to netball, hockey and football.
S2s have been on a history trip this term to Stobs camp.
Stobs camp was an army training camp and a prisoner of war camp. Pupils have been writing about this important site in class and making presentations of their findings.
This was an excellent hands-on learning experience, and we have a report from Ryan and Ethan.
The history behind Stobs Camp started in 1903 when it was purchased by the War Office as a military training camp for British soldiers. In 1914, soldiers were flooded in after Britain declared war. 3 years later, there were 80 huts, a hospital with 150 beds, its own railway, stores, workshops, a post office and a YMCA outside its perimeter. In 1915, Stobs Camp was changed into a prisoner of war camp. The camp had no recorded escapes and was shut down in 1919. The people started the trip with being split into 4 groups. Some of the groups measured and searched the sites of the old camp, whilst others mapped out the location of certain areas on maps of the location. The trip was set up by Archaeology Scotland. Class 2T1 were accompanied by Mrs Riddle and 2T2 were accompanied by Mr Taylor, with both classes also being accompanied by members of Archaeology Scotland.
ITV has been at Hawick High School recently, keen to find out what Mr Ribeyron can tell them about the discovery of the planet Neptune.
The giant planet was discovered by Mary Somerville, a former pupil of Hawick High School. Mr Ribeyron and a group of pupils recreated the observations that led to the fantastic discovery, and ITV came to find out more about it.
ITV News came to the school because they are doing a documentary on Mary Somerville, who was local to the border. She was a female scientist during the Victorian time. And one of the reasons she's famous is because it was very hard for women at the time to get involved in science. And although quite a lot of people tried to stop her, she was so passionate about science that she did quite a lot of work about it.
The skill model done outside, what was that showing?
Okay, what they've tried to show using balloons as model was the discovery of the planet Neptune, because nobody knew about Neptune at the time. So what they've tried to show was that by looking at other planets and how other planets behaved in the solar system, they found out that there was something not quite right about the way they rotated around the sun. And based on calculation, they predicted that there should be something where Neptune was, and when they pointed the telescope there, they found out that there is something there is Neptune there. So that's how Neptune was found out about, just by doing calculations. It was predicted to be there.
In other sporting news, S4 pupils have recently been given the opportunity to apply to become a junior sports ambassador. The junior sports ambassadors help to coach in a number of different sports and encourage people of all ages to participate in various activities and sports. The process of choosing new junior ambassadors began with an application form from anyone who wanted to apply. 15 applicants were then chosen to participate in an activity to display their leadership skills. The pupils were split into groups and were given a task of coaching and leading their peers to an activity decided by the previous year's sports ambassadors. The final stage of the selection process was for each person to be interviewed by one of last year's sporting leaders. This year's junior sports ambassadors are Amy McMeekin, Ria Middlemas, Paul Goldie, Lewis Riley, Ben Chelley, Jenna Amos, Laura Douglas, Francis South, Niamh Page and Holly Grieve. Well done to everyone who applied, and good luck to this year's sports ambassadors.
That's it for this month. From me, Ross.
And me, Hannah, and the rest of the news team.
Goodbye.